Hello and welcome to the world of Final Fantasy XIV, and thanks so much for checking out this video. In it, I hope to give you the information about your starting race and class options, and really hopefully help set you up for success when playing this game, as well as hopefully get you started in a class that you are really going to be excited about. So, that's pretty much what this video is about. We're going to just dive into it. We're going to cover these various topics. If you have any questions about any of it, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll love to help hopefully get you started the right way. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and do this thing. Okay, so to start, your race doesn't really mean anything. Your race is cosmetic, so just find what looks best for you. We're not going to dive into each race's lore here. You can read about that pretty much anywhere as well as in-game, but just find something that you think looks cool, fun, and something that you're going to not mind looking at for many hours. However, if you end up not liking it, you can easily change it at any time. With 1 month subscription, you get a bottle of Fantasia. It will allow you to change your race, name, and everything about your character. You can also buy those Fantasia potions on the Mog Station as well. So there's a lot of people I know that think they have to start a new character to change their race, and that's not the case. And so if you've invested a lot of time and you feel like changing your race after 30 hours or 60 hours, you can do so. So even though I say it's cosmetic, you're not stuck into anything here at this time. So feel free to kind of go crazy, and if you don't end up liking it after a while, you can change it. You'll be presented with a birthday and a guardian deity during character creation. It's not necessarily important. You can pick your own birthday or a birthday for the character that you're making up if you want to do roleplay. Your guardian deity, I'd recommend reading the various descriptions about those to see if any of that relates to who your character's trying to be. But if you really don't care, just pick one. It's not that drastically important at any point in the game. So let's get into the starting classes of the game. It's important to note, just like with your race, once you hit level 10 and complete your level 10 class quest, you can change your class at any time by just changing your weapon. Classes are tied to the weapon that they equip, and so you don't need to roll new characters to be able to experience everything that this game has to offer. You can always stick within one character, and that's a real strength of the game. Now, from a role-playing perspective, I can get that if you might want to play some kind of bulky tank versus some type of scrawny mage, and so for that I have to say yes, you'd have to obviously roll a new character. But outside of that, you can play every class and job in the game with one character. So this is focused on your first one. Once you hit 10, you can change, and you can even take some of those abilities, share them on your character, thus making them more powerful by doing that. So there is an incentive to playing more than just one class. The real thing that sticks when picking a class is your starting city. So you'll see it located in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, what city that class starts in. You only get 3 options: Ul'dah, Limsa Lominsa, and Gridania. Those are your 3 starting cities, and the class that you pick is going to determine where you start. Alright, so now let's dive into each of the starting classes. In the Disciple of War category, you've got Gladiator, which becomes Paladin and starts in Ul'dah. Pugilist, which becomes Monk and starts in Ul'dah as well. Marauder, which becomes Warrior and starts in Limsa Lominsa. Lancer, which becomes Dragoon and starts in Gridania. Archer, which becomes Bard and starts in Gridania. Then, within the Disciples of Magic category, you've got Conjure, which becomes White Mage and starts in Gridania. Thaumaturge, which becomes Black Mage and starts in Ul'dah. And lastly, Arcanist, which becomes Summoner and Scholar and starts in Limsa Lominsa. We'll get more into the Arcanist Summer Scholar here in just a minute. So now let's go ahead and group each of these starting classes into their different roles and talk about them as well, and then we're going to get into the individual details about each of these classes. So in the tanks role, you have Gladiator and Marauder, and if you'd like more details about how to tank in this game, we've got some videos on the site. I'd highly encourage you to check those out. I'll try to include the links in the description below. So in the healer's role, you really only have Conjurer. However, Arcanist becomes Scholar at level 30, but before that it's a DPS, so it's kind of like an asterisk option here for you, but pretty much if you want to heal, start with Conjurer. In the melee DPS role, you've got Pugilist and Lancer. And you actually have Rogue, but you only have access to Rogue once you hit level 10, and it starts in Limbs of Lamenza. And in the ranged DPS category, you've got Thaumaturge, Arcanist, and Archer. Now with each of the classes grouped into their respective category, let's go ahead and dive into each one's individual strengths and weaknesses. So starting with Gladiator, it uses a sword and shield. It's got high damage physical mitigation, so you're very good at taking damage. Play this job if you really want to take charge and charge forward in dungeons. Your role as a tank is going to be that you want to keep the enemy's attention. So if you like that, it's definitely going to be a strength. If you're not so comfortable with it, maybe check out another job until you are more comfortable with that role. You're going to use a combination of your TP and your MP. TP is just a resource that you manage and it regenerates slowly, and MP is the same. Obviously MP for magic points and TP for technical points. Due to high demand for tanks in this game, you're going to have very low queue times. It's going to be very easy and quick to get access into content. So there is a huge strength to that. Out of the tanks though, the Gladiator has the lower HP pool, but again, it makes up for it with higher damage mitigation. So you really don't necessarily feel it. It is something when I play a healer that I love to play with a Paladin. Now Marauder uses the Mighty Axe. They've got higher DPS output than Gladiator and a larger HP pool, however they've got lower defense. Again, Marauder is a tank, so just like with Gladiator, you're going to be kind of taking charge in group content, running forward, holding enemies' attention and focus, so that way they're not focusing in on your party members. And again, due to demand, you're going to have incredibly low queue times, and you're going to get extra rewards as a tank, because typically it's what's in need, so there's a lot of benefits and advantages there. On the healer front, with Conjurer, you use a cane and a wand. To start, it's the only healer that you have access to. It's a classic Final Fantasy healer though. It's got a lot of big heals and healing over time abilities. Due to demand, again, just like with tanks, you're going to have lower queue times. You're not going to have to wait for content pops as much because there is such a demand for both tanks and healers in the game. However, if you run out of MP, you're pretty much going to be sitting there kind of watching the action unfold until your MP regenerates, or you can use abilities or items to help bring back some MP to you, so you can actually then do your job. If you want to play Scholar in this game, I'd recommend starting off with Conjurer because it's going to give you the abilities that you need on your Scholar, but I'll leave that up to you. So let's talk about Scholar just briefly. It uses a book. It's based off the Arcanist. So if you're playing Arcanist, you're going to actually have access to a Summoner and the Scholar once you hit level 30 and level your subclass appropriately. This is kind of a murky option because you can't technically start off as a Scholar, but a Scholar is a really powerful healer in the game, uses a lot of shields and damage mitigation healing as opposed to the Conjurer's high spike healing. Plus, again, you have a pet as a Scholar, which also helps heal for you. So if you I know a lot of Scholars who can just let their pet heal and they can just focus in on DPS for the most part. And again, leveling up Arcanist allows you to actually have access to two jobs, Summoner and Scholar. So the Pugilist. If you like to hit things, this is the job for you. Uses your fists, very physical and in your face. Typically you want to be on the flank or the rear of the monster. And it's got a lot of combos. Now, it wears pretty light armor, so you can't take a lot of damage, but for the most part, it's fast. It's a lot of fun to play, and I know a lot of monks who really enjoy the job. Now, Lancer uses a lance, obviously. Now, this becomes Dragoon, so it's a very classic job, just like Monk. You're going to wear heavier armor, so you're going to have better survivability, but you still can't take a lot of hits, so just be aware of that. You also have a lot of combos and a lot of jumps later on in the game. There's a lot you can do with this class. It's very classic, it's a lot of fun to play, and I know a lot of people who really enjoy it. Now, while you can't start off as a rogue, again, it happens at level 10 in Limbs of Lamenza once you've completed your class quest, so it's really early in the game, so it's kind of a starting class, and I want to talk about it here because many people like to play ninja. You use dual daggers, you've got a lot of quick style abilities, so kind of like Monk, very fast and fluid, high DPS output, but extremely squishy. I think probably the most squishy out of all the melee DPS jobs. Alright, so let's get into our ranged DPS. First you got Thaumaturge, uses canes and wands. It's a glass cannon. You can put out a huge amount of spike damage. but you also have cast times. So if you like playing a caster, this will definitely be a great option for you. Later in the game, this is definitely a challenging job to master, but it's really powerful if you do so. Again, Thaumaturge becomes the classic black mage, so you've got very classic and heavy hitting spells, especially when you get some of those crit hits off. It's just huge numbers, very big. The Arcanist uses books. It also has a pet, and so to start you have a DPS and a tank, I think around level 15 range. So you have a lot of versatility when soloing and when in a group. The Arcanist becomes Summoner and Scholar. So we talked about Scholar as a part of the healing set, but Summoner is a huge DPS. Uses a lot of dots, a lot of damage over time abilities, and has some spikiness to it as a part of its rotation. So it's very, very powerful and a lot of fun to play. Personally, this is my favorite DPS to play, but don't listen to me. Pick what's best for you. And then finally we have Archer. So uses the bow and arrow, high mobility at the cost of DPS, support abilities later in the game, songs as a bard, but you can still DPS, and having that range and that ability to see over the battlefield is extremely valuable, especially when solo. You don't have to run up like with any of the melee DPS to be able to attack the enemy at a particular cost. You can always just auto attack and keep them at bay or do a couple different things. So I know a lot of people who like Bard for its utility and its versatility, so I would recommend any of these jobs. It just really depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking to tank? Are you looking to heal? Are you looking to be up in an enemy's face and really hit them? Or are you looking to kind of be more tactical in a way? And that is the range and the jobs that you have access to start in the world of Final Fantasy XIV. Now there's other jobs that open up at various points in the game. Like you've got Dark Knight, Machinist, Astrologian. You've got Red Mage and Samurai. All of those are in the game and you have access to once you've achieved the unlock condition. So if those are the jobs that you're looking to play, you're going to have to pick from the list that I just provided to be able to get to those levels. It might be unfortunate if you're wanting to start off as Samurai, but all you have to do is get to level 50 and then there you go. Let me know if you have any questions below. If you're trying to feel out what job or what class you really want to play, let me know. Let's have that conversation and let's go from there. I hope you find as much joy in this game that I have, and I really enjoy playing it. And I can't recommend one job over the other because they're all so fun to play. But with that, my name's Brian, and this is Work to Game. I really hope you've enjoyed this class guide and introduction. Hopefully this helps you out and helps you get started. And if it does, hit that like button and let us know in the comments below what you picked. And also I'd recommend you check out our other guides on the channel. We dive into tanks and healers and a lot of how to play various jobs at different levels. But if there is a question you have and a video isn't answering it here on the channel, let us know in the comments below and we'll see if we can't continue to make guides to help out both new, intermediate, and expert level players as well. I thank you so much for watching this video and I hope to see you in my next. But until then, I hope you have a fantastic week. Take care.
Hey guys, Chris here. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see our next video, go ahead and click right there. If you'd like to see our vlog, click down below. The subscribe button should be right below me here, and you should see all of our contact information. Have a great day, and we will see you next time.